In this how-to video for Rvinyl, you're going to get great tips and tricks on how to wrap a Vespa scooter with color change film. Vespa scooters can be a challenge to wrap, but after watching this video, they should be very easy and straightforward. Because of all the raised objects and tight gaps on the Vespa scooter, it's highly recommended to take all the pieces off. Document where all the screws and bolts go for an easy reinstall. Place the parts in a nice safe area so they don't get lost or damaged during the install. And for a great install, make sure you get the right tools from Rvinyl. That includes cleaners, knives, squeegees with buffers, tucking tools, and application glove. Always unbox the material from Rvinyl safely, and they'll come in packages that look like this. Inside each package is an easy instruction guide for how to wrap a scooter, as well as other promotional materials. It's very important to take extra time and clean the Vespa scooter. The reason why is a lot of dirt and oil can build up on here. So, spray the microfiber towel and then clean the main area. Once the main area is super clean, then you really want to make sure you focus on key areas, like on the underside, where particularly a lot of oil and dirt can build up. Now we're ready for install, and in this video you're going to see a wide variety of tips and tricks for different shapes, as the install skills need to change and adapt for each one. So here on this giant curvy section on the main area, it's tacked at the front, the material rolled up so it's easy to hold, and the material lightly warmed. Now the film is anchored on the body line, and once this is set, now the larger piece is installed on the main area. Heat is again applied and the material is stretched. Be sure to stretch right in the middle because if you stretch correctly, when you add heat on the upper areas, the material will literally shrink into place. That's because the color change material from Rvinyl has PVC. This means the material has memory, which means it can shrink when it's heated. So once it shrinks, it makes the wrapping process much easier, and it holds better for the long term. You can repeat the same steps for the top. So here on the upper edge, the material is heated, the material shrinks a little bit, then it's tucked into the upper edge. This helps ensure a long-term hold. Then, for recessed areas, like the one on the front, the material can often be taken to the body without having to use heat. That's because premium cast film is being used in this case, and here the film is being formed into this recessed area, then taken to the outside edge. And with all the edges set on this piece, now it's time to cut away the excess film. On certain areas of the Vespa scooter, cutting directly on the paint is required. So make sure you keep the blade angle low and flat at a 10-degree angle, and make sure the blade is extra sharp and there's a very light touch used. For this area on the underside, it's what's called empty. So here the blade can run along the edge because there's nothing behind it. So once the blade runs from one side to the other, the excess film is removed and then heat is added to make sure all the edges are sealed. Always go around all the edges 100% to activate the adhesive, and then once done, go over the main area. The focus now will be on the front of the Vespa scooter, and the emphasis will be on the importance of making overlaps. Here on the front section, by the front wheel, it's impossible to take off. So therefore, it's important to cut the material down the middle at this section, then overlap the two pieces. This is hidden from view, and it makes the install much easier and more professional. Here on the front, where there's a recessed area, go over it with light heat and the application glove. Make sure all the edges are 100% sealed, and by working in stages, it keeps the material from overstretching. Then once the material is on the surface, cut all the excess film away right to the edge with a sharp knife. Always make sure you come immediately and seal the deal, and here's a shot of the final result with the overlap on the underside. Speaking of the underside, that's the focus of this section here. And the emphasis will be on how to work the material evenly under this awkward section, as well as how to avoid overwrapping. So here another relief cut is made on the underside, and the right side of the scooter is now being wrapped. The material evenly stretched and locked on the body line, then is formed to the top. Using a corner game buffer helps avoid scratches. Here the material is heated, then relaxed towards the top, pulling evenly. Always working in sections is key to avoid overstretching the film. Once the material is on this upper edge now, here the bottom excess film is cut away. Notice that the entire underside of the scooter doesn't have to be wrapped. That's because it's out of view, and this will help save the installer lots of time and avoid overstretching. Now here for the front recessed area, this area can be installed in one piece. The application glove and squeegee form it safely to the top edge. We now move on to this very interesting shape, which is the floorboard area for the Vespa scooter. The emphasis here is on wrapping it in 3 pieces. It is possible to wrap this in 1 piece, but it would take a long time and potentially lead to overstretching. So, by wrapping it in 3 pieces, the material holds the surface much better. And when making types of overlaps like this, it's always a good idea to use 3M knifeless tape. This can be purchased at Rvinyl. So, here you can see the excess film removed from the piece in the middle, which covers the pieces on the side. There's no cutting directly on the surface, which is safe for the paint. Always add heat to the overlaps to make sure they stick nice and strong, and when done properly, it looks like 1 piece. But it holds up really well because there's no tension with the 3-piece install. And speaking of 3 pieces, it's highly recommended to wrap the front section in 3 pieces as well. This is a giant compound curve. Wrapping this in 1 piece would again take a long time and potentially lead to overstretching. Here, using 3M knifeless tape directly on the body line, the sides are applied. This means this panel has no tension on that top section. Once the excess film has been removed and the bottom section cut away, then 3M knifeless tape can be applied again. Notice that the edge of the green is going on the edge of the vinyl that was just installed. This means that the overlap will be nice and symmetrical. So once the top piece is installed, the knifeless tape is pulled, the excess film removed, and the overlap disappears right onto the body line. Always make sure you add heat to the overlap to make sure it holds nice and strong. Next up is this complicated piece, and it's actually going to be wrapped in 1 piece. That's because the section in the middle is open. So you don't always have to wrap in multiple pieces if you have good install skills, and you can work the material to the edge safely without overstretching. So here the material is fed into the recessed area at the top neck right there. The material now is spread wide with what's called the triangle technique, and the material again relaxed to the edge. Notice that a lot of tension is built up on the outside edge, so with this type of section, because it's off the body, the material is then folded behind it and then cut away. In this case, it's going to be wrapped around a 1/4 inch, which means it has extra hold. This allows the material then to be wrapped in 1 piece on this object. Then on this section, which is a very deep recessed area, the material is taken as far as it can go, a circle relief cut is made, then the material is taken farther, just to the edge. By working after making the relief cut, the material now relaxes to the bottom edge. This allows the installer to get full coverage and without having to use heat, which is absolutely key. So now the material will hold the surface for the long term and it won't fail. For this section here, because a part is going on top, there's no need to wrap fully behind it. This will help save the installer time. So know what is covered and not covered. Now we move on to another area of the scooter, and it's this complicated area here. This will actually be wrapped in 1 piece. This means the installer has to have really good skills, so it's highly recommended to saving this till the end of the install. This means the installer has a very good feel for what the film can and cannot do, plus they'll have a good rhythm of working on all the parts. So here you can see the material being picked up and then tucked into this steep climb at the very end. And once everything's on and cut away, it's very important to go on with high heat just to make sure that adhesive is activating. This is what's called post-heating. So once every piece has been post-heated, now it's time to put the Vespa scooter back together and admire the results. And as you can see, by taking some time to remove all the pieces, it made the wrapping process much easier, as well as having the right tools and material from Rvinyl, along with the great tips and tricks from the Wrap Institute. And as you can see, the pieces that were wrapped in multiple pieces look absolutely like 1 piece. That's because the overlaps completely disappear on the body lines. That requires professional skills, but after watching this video and getting some practice, you can definitely master these techniques. And if you can wrap a Vespa scooter like this, you can pretty much wrap everything, which will help give you confidence and the freedom to have a great career in the wrap industry.